I am just so excited to have this conversation with you. So welcome.
Thank you. And you know what I have to tell you, like so many of the digital world, I feel like I've known you for years. So I'm finally so happy to sit across a desk from you.
Yeah, thank you. I have to tell you that I think the menopausal conversation has been really interesting to watch how it has transpired. And I always say we went from a cultural hush to cultural chaos.
Yeah.
And then somewhere along this like emergence, I saw your work and I was like, yes, well, let's talk about the musculoskeletal system and how it changed. Because not only did I have major injuries as an athlete going through my menopausal experience, but I had a practice full of menopausal women that I didn't really understand what was going on until people like you really emerged and taught us. So thank you. I'm so happy you wrote this book.
Pleasure. My pleasure. Yeah.
Okay, so here's the first heart space. What I want to know is, what is it like to be a female orthopedic surgeon? Let's just start off with that.
Oh my God. So, we're the fun people in medicine, right? Everybody all the guys going to orthopedic surgery, 94% are guys. Now, when I trained so long ago, there were 3%. So between, then and now we've doubled, which means it's going to take us 150 years to have.
God, I better fast a little more.
We're trying really hard. But so 94% guys, and we're the fun guys, right? Because we're all the old athletes. They're the engineers, but even they're fun engineers. And we get to do fun things by and large, except for the musculoskeletal oncologists and some of the pediatric stuff. Most of what we do is fun and aspirational. Imagine I have spent my life making people walk again.
Yes, right.
Using their shoulders again.
Yes, well.
Every time one of my golfers that I fix his shoulder does a hole in one, I'm like, that's mine. I did that. So it's a really aspirational.
It's beautiful.
But what an honor. I mean, for doctors, it's such an honor. People trust us with a lot of important things, sometimes the first time they meet us. And that's an honor, that's sacred. And so, so we're the fun people, but we take what we do so seriously. Like you can imagine academic meetings, there are these big debates on where the 2 millimeters we put the ACL screw. I'm like, you're from an outsider, you're like, it's 2 millimeters. We're like, but it's really
Wow. So were you in practice and doing surgeries on both men and women and then seeing like a trend in menopausal women? Is it like, I would think, my husband just had hip replacement surgery. And I was like, did anybody take a picture of his hip? I want to see it. Like exactly. I would have been in there watching if they would have let me watch, because I wanted to like see where it had degenerated and all that. So I would think if you had the opportunity to open up a lot of menopausal women's hips and shoulders, that you saw something most of us didn't see.
So my practice, just to answer the first question and then tell you how I got into where I am now, is, I'm a fellowship trained sports doctor. So my job is not only the sports surgery, but I'm a team doctor. So meaning that I'm the guy on the field and all the football. I was the head football doctor for University of Pittsburgh and all their Olympic sports teams. And so there's the team doctor side of that. And the reality is most of the teams I took care of were men's athletics. I had a few female teams. I had a few female rugby teams, but just the way it worked out. But in 2012, Mindy, I read a statistic that women make 80% of all the healthcare decisions in this country for themselves and everyone we touch. And it just a light bulb went off because we're 51% of the population, and therefore 50% of all my patients, athlete or not, were women. And so when I went through my own menopause more than a decade ago, it hit me. I tell the story, 40, best shape of my life. I had a baby. I'm training for all kinds of things. I've got, God knows I'll never get back to it, 19% body fat. And then 47 about killed me, right? Menopause thing. And I became a scholar, not only of women, but of
Mhm.
menopause, and really
Mm.
did such a deep dive. I consider
Love
myself
that.
an expert, especially within the lane of musculoskeletal, because here's what women would say to me once I started listening with
Mhm.
menopausal ears. With
It's
I'm sure
beautiful.
you've heard this in your own practice. I don't know what happened.
Yep.
I think I'm falling apart.
Yep. Yep.
And do you know what else? I might be going crazy because I
Yep.
talked to my other doctor about it and they said, nothing's wrong with you. You're just
Yep.
getting old.
Yep.
Here's the part that killed me. And this is what really keeps me so focused. They say to me without prompting, but you know what? I didn't want to come in today because I have a very high pain tolerance. Like it's a button, right?
Yep.
High pain tolerance. But doc, I just can't take it anymore. And
Yep.
in a very defeated way. And I'm a musculoskeletal doctor, but people are weeping because
Yep.
it's so hard. So I decided once I started listening with those ears, the ears that come with experiencing it,
I
more
love
than
that.
academic, right? It's more than
Yep.
reading it in a study. I lived it. And
Yep.
musculoskeletal syndrome and menopause was one of my biggest symptoms, right? I couldn't get
Mhm.
out of bed, right?
Mm.
So painful.
Wow.
And we can talk about all those things. That is when I really became committed to exposing what affects 80% of all women at almost the same rate as hot flashes, night sweats, and brain fog is the musculoskeletal syndrome of menopause.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. And so let's launch from there. If, as women are listening to this, I feel like there's some like golden rules we need to follow when we go into our perimenopausal years.
Mhm.
Like, are there things that we should start doing differently? I can tell you for me, I was a ex tennis player in
Yeah,
college
yeah,
and I turned me into a runner. And
yeah.
all of a sudden at 43, I was injury upon injury upon injury. And it took me several years to
Mhm.
figure out, oh, wait, something has shifted as my hormones have shifted. And so I had to change the way I worked out.
Yeah.
So, what are some of those ground rules that we need to know when you're going into menopause as far as your musculoskeletal system goes?
Well, I think it's helpful to know that muscle, tendon, ligament, bone, fat,
Yeah.
satellite stem cells, cartilage, disc, annulus in the back, they are all from the same stem cell. So they're
Mm,
all going to respond in a cousin like way to estrogen. Every
mm,
one of those tissues has estrogen alpha and beta receptors on them that keep them healthy. Cartilage, for instance, the matrix is like a mesh, if you will,
mm,
with estrogen receptors. And without estrogen sitting there, the matrix starts to fall apart, such
mhm,
that here's men before 50 have more arthritis. Women after 50 without estrogen have rapid increase in arthritis in the hips, the knees, the hands. So what
wow.
the first thing women have to know going through what I call this thing, I like to make up words. So
Excellent.
I call this transition the menolescence. To be reminiscent,
Ooh.
yeah, to be
Oh, that was
reminiscent
good.
of the chaos of adolescence. Like people get that, right? Oh
Oh,
my
that's good. Yeah, mentalescence is awesome.
we're exiting our hormones the way we came into them in total chaos. Number one thing to go into is to recognize this is different, right? The same
Yes.
things are not going to work now that worked then. This is a different life stage to embrace. So,
Yes.
and every tissue in the musculoskeletal system. So it follows that, for instance, if your tendons and ligaments naturally with age increase, these are supposed to be collagen fibers,
Yeah, I
increase
get you.
their covalent bonding and get tighter, and then they don't have estrogen to help repair
Mm,
the micro tears, we're going to have more tendonitis because
mm,
it's more
okay.
inflamed. On top of the fact that estrogen is a huge anti-inflammatory, it works directly on the immune system, it modulates immune cytokines. We're more inflamed, so the microenvironment's hot and bothered. We have less regenerative capacity, and just the natural aging, we're getting tighter. So we're more prone to things like tennis elbow, Achilles
Yep.
tendonitis. And so just recognizing, oh my God, it's not the same. I can't just rest for 2 days. I have to have a mobility practice to stretch
Mm.
out my
Love
tendons and
that.
ligaments, right? To
Yep.
to keep my joints moving so the synovial fluid continues to be produced and
Yep.
we don't dry up like a raisin in the sun, right?
Yep.
So
And
recognition.
what
Mhm.
age do you think that starts at?
Yeah, you know what? Perimenopause on average in this country is about 45. However, it can be much earlier. It can be
Mhm.
35, right? I and it all comes down to, and your listeners know this, to the fact that by about age 40, we have 1 to 3% of our eggs left, right? So it's not
Right.
producing enough estrogen. And by the time it catches up or people recognize it, they're about 45 with complete cessation of our menstruation on average in this country about 52.
Right.
But I call the decade between 35 and 45 the critical decade to get your shit together. Here's
I
why.
love it.
Here's why. Because I wish I had done it. I
Yeah,
wish
me
I had
too. Me
done it.
too.
Because
Yep.
I don't know about you. You were an athlete. I was an athlete. If I saw I was gaining a little weight or I was sore, it was a really quick fix for me.
Yep.
And you know what? This is so ironic. I am a musculoskeletal aging researcher. I don't think I thought it would ever happen to me.
Oh, yeah, that's
That's why it
interesting.
hit me. But if you're listening, please recognize that between 35 and 45, 35, you still have all your hormones by and large. You've got this youthful vigor. 45, you're going to start to be chaotically perimenopause when things change. Let's make sure we have learned what's coming. Let's
Right.
make sure we establish a standard of our nutrition, right?
Mm,
Because
okay.
when we get to 45 or even later, 52, when menopause happens, if we're suddenly having to create 6 or 7 new lifestyle things, it is so hard. Like, people are like, what should I do now, Vonda? And if they're 55, I'm like, this and this and
Right.
this, right?
Right.
It's but at 35, if we layer in, how are we going to have an anti-inflammatory diet? How are we
Mm,
going to eat enough protein? And what does that even mean? If we think about, okay, at 35, how do I start lifting in a way that's going to help me stimulate muscle protein synthesis and not just
mm,
build endurance?
right.
I think starting early and layering on the lifestyles, by the time we get to be perimenopausal, when hormones may or may not be helping us at all, our endogenous hormones, it's not such a shock. It's not
Right.
so hard.
Yeah.
So that was a
Do
long,
you
yeah.
Yeah, no, I really like getting ahead of it. I think that is a really important point. And it was interesting as you was talking, I was thinking, yeah, that when I was 43, that's how I found fasting because I, like you, anytime I needed to drop a few pounds, I would just put a couple more hours in each week on the, running and it would
Run a
make it
little
go,
more.
yeah, run a little more, but then the injury kept piling upon injury. And I was like, what is going on? And so that's when I learned about fasting. I was like, oh, wait, I can actually get my weight to drop doing it that way.
Yeah.
What's interesting about what you're saying is that you're using nutrition like most people would use supplements or they would use medication. Like, I love this idea of like bringing it in the beginning so that you can keep that a good foundation of inflammation down. And then my question is collagen is would it be worth it to eat collagen rich foods, especially in those early perimenopausal years?
Well, I think the best data on collagen, and I'm not an expert, but I think the best data on collagen happens to be surrounding bones and muscle,
Oh,
actually.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, there's some data that you can increase bone density 1 to 2% a year by supplementing with the right kind of collagen. Imagine entering the critical decade maxed out on everything with the best bone density, right? Before
Right.
you
Right.
start losing your estrogen with the best muscle
Yeah.
mass And so pulling in all the tools, I don't think it's one thing. I think
Yep.
if I look at I mean, we're both deep into the longevity community. We both appear at these same things. And I think what happens sometimes is we think one gadget's going to do it for us.
Right,
Some bright,
right.
shiny tool. And that's not my
Yeah.
experience as a clinician.
No,
It is
no.
this constant, it's this ecosystem, as we like to say. It's not one
Yeah.
little thing you turn on with a switch. So that's why I talk about it like this.
Yeah. I was at all the biohacking and everything for so many years, and one day it hit me. I don't think you can hack a woman's body. You can't like hack into it. You have to harmonize it. It's not a body that's hackable. And it's a body that needs love and nourishment and needs a rhythm to it. And so I
That's the
really,
way we work in a rhythmic
yeah,
manner. When you think about it,
exactly.
every month there's a rhythm of our complexity, hormones up, hormones down. We exchange different versus, men get their testosterone and it slowly declines. And so you may be more inclined to hack that.
Right. But that's another topic.
That's another topic.
Yes.
And you know what? I've made several comments. I really do love men. I'm married to a man. I have
Of
four
course.
sons. But
Yeah, right. There you
what?
go.
Let's
Yeah.
be
Yeah. Well, it's our moment too. We're having
yes,
our moment. We're finally getting to stand on our soapbox and
yeah.
scream from the rooftops. So, okay, so we've got nutrition. You're going to
Yes.
make some nutrition changes. Okay,
Yes.
what else could I do as I'm going through this transition?
So, in the critical decade, please, 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 please use Pilates and yoga as
Mhm.
your movement
Hmm.
icing,
Hmm.
but your meat and potatoes has to be building muscle mass
Yeah. Yeah.
while you still have your estrogen. I say do it while you have estrogen. Do it while you can do it later. You sure can. And I'm working my butt off to try, and I know you are too.
Yeah.
Your endogenous estrogen is easier to make muscle
Yeah.
with as a stimulus. So learn to lift. You don't have to lift heavy when you're 30. You should it depends what you want. If we want to go into prescription of lifting, people criticize me a lot because I mostly talk about heavy lifting. I
Hmm.
don't care how you lift, but it depends why you're lifting. So
Hmm.
if you're younger and you want to build endurance, then lift for endurance. Do tons of reps with the lightest weight possible. Do
Hmm.
25 to failure. I would never do that. How boring is that? But anyway, that's a lot of joint motion. That's a lot of joint mass. If you want hypertrophy, which is what people in their 30s and or generally want, well, that's a mid-range rep set.
Hmm. Hmm.
But as a solidly postmenopausal woman like me, I am lifting for strength and power, which requires heavier lifts. So, in the younger years, which is what you've asked me about, let's build a foundation so our
Hmm.
body knows how to lift.
Hmm. I
Let's
like
lift
that.
for hypertrophy so you know the form, so
Yeah.
that as you progress and need that strategic stress of lifting heavier, you don't have to start at zero off the couch because that's a long way to
Yes,
go.
yes.
Right? So
Yeah,
just
I would definitely say I fell in the camp in the 40s because I love to run. I fell into and I love yoga, so I fell in that camp,
yeah.
and when I went to go lift weights when I lifted weights in my 20s in college because we had to, it was like I could look at a barbell and poof, I got, like, muscle. Now I'm like 2 years ago, I'm 55. 2 years ago, I hired a trainer. I was like, I need to build muscle.
Mhm.
Oh my God, we were working so hard for so many months. And then I would look in the mirror and I'm like, it feels like I'm doing nothing.
Uh,
So, yeah. So I think you're really on to something. If you don't, you would say 40s, late 30s, like switch away from your cardio and really look at weightlifting. Is that what you're saying is like the critical time period?
I think cardio is important. They do two separate things, right? We want a strong cardiovascular engine. Listen,
Yeah.
heart disease is the number one killer of men and women. I'm
Yeah.
not saying abandon cardio. What I am saying though is it cannot be the only thing you do. I'll tell you from a
Right.
orthopedic doctor standpoint, and I'm sorry, runners, when I say this, and I was a runner. I've run multiple
Yep. Yep.
marathons. I get it. We get If I hear one more runner telling me they don't lift with their legs because they run,
Oh god.
that is
They
a surefire way to end up in my clinic with some kind
Yeah.
of butt pain because your glutes don't fire or
Mm,
because you've got pelvic instability and instead of running in a straight line,
mm,
you're running like a weeble, right? Or you can't,
mm.
running is a single leg sport. You have to be able to balance in a mini squat without falling over to run well. Otherwise,
Yep.
you're just adjusting all the time. So when I say cardio is important, but if we're looking at it from a health span and longevity, I want you to, this is just how I prescribe it. There's many ways to do it. Unless you're training for a big race, unless you're a training athlete again, running
Mhm.
another marathon, 80% of the time spend in base training. So we build mitochondrial flexibility. We're burning fat. We're at our lactate threshold. 20% of the time, and I'll tell you, this is not based on my research. It's based on, there's a researcher here in my building that trains Tour de France
Oh.
athletes. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So 80% of the time base training, 20% of the time we are gunning it as fast as it's safe for our
Mm,
heart
mm,
so that we give our bodies that positive stress working in that high zone to stimulate all the muscle protein synthesis and cardiac function.
mhm,
But we don't do that all the time. And that's what I see. The
mm.
injured people coming into my office spend a lot of time at the highest zones.
Yep, yep.
And they're injured every 3 weeks. And then they have to recover. And then their brain's
Right.
angry, no dopamine. So I'm not saying cardiac's not important. It's not the only thing anymore.
But and what I hear you saying is, and if you're going to do it, do some sprints, get the max cardiovascular, and then get your butt to the gym and start
Lift.
lifting weights.
Yeah.
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 So with lifting weights, what are you a fan of, like max amount of weight for 8 reps, or is there like a formula you follow?
So when we're lifting for strength and power, the strength, and again, I'm about to I'm framing what I'm saying because now I
Oh,
am
you can
so
say no. Let it go. Let it out. Let it
no,
out.
I am
Don't.
so aware of all the bros hopping out of the woodwork and telling me that I don't know what I'm talking about because but
Yeah.
listen, I've been in the locker rooms of the best athletes, training with their trainers,
Yeah.
writing my own things, reading. I know what I'm talking. So
Yeah.
I'm just responding in my own head. This internal
Of
conversation.
course. I love it. I'm watching what you're doing. I think
Yeah.
it's beautiful.
So listen, I prescribe powerlifting, upper body push, upper body pull, lower
Mm,
body push and pull. For the 4 power lifts, so bench press, some kind of pull, deadlift, and squat, those are the lifts that I want you to lift to failure, but to get
mm,
to failure in a lift range of 3 to 6. Now,
oh, nice.
I've been taking care of people so long that I know for sure they want a specific instruction. So I have chosen 4. It's what I do, it's what my strength and conditioning coach taught me to do. 4 reps to failure. So what does that
Okay.
mean? I can pound out 4 reps. I can, if I'm bench pressing, I can do 5 like this. But if I try 6, one arm's coming down and I'm dumping the
Mm,
weights off, right? 4 reps, 4 sets for each of the power lifts. Now, that's not the whole story, but power lifts are complex. They do multiple joints, they involve your core, everything, right?
mm,
To support that lift, I then on bench day will do the supportive lifts, biceps, triceps, lats, delts,
mm,
to
mm.
8 to 10 reps. I'm not
Oh, I
trying
love that.
until yeah. So that is the framework
Okay.
that I use for midlife women, plus the core. So that basic
Mhm.
framework builds strength.
Okay.
When
How many days a week are we talking? Because you're
you
doing
know,
the main muscles.
minimum of 2.
Oh,
I'd love people to carve out 4 days, but
okay.
minimum of 2.
And what would it look like 2 days of the power lifting and 2 days of the supportive lifting?
No, so it's 1 power lift a day. If you're doing 4 days
Oh,
a week, 1
oh,
power
you're oh,
lift a
got it.
day and the
Got it.
supportive lifts to go. And there's some overlap. For instance, on a deadlift supports might be some plyometrics, might be some
Mm,
step ups with a weight, might be
yeah.
some goblet squats, might be some hamstrings. And
Okay.
our muscles love variety, so
Mhm.
it's usually not the same thing for 6 weeks or so, but it's so that's how I do strength. Now, when you that may take 6 months to build up through from
Mm,
nothing. It may take 9 months to get this form down. I expect nobody to go from couch to heavy lifting. It's a progression.
mhm.
But once we're solid in that, once we've been doing it for a while, if we want power, which is strength over time, then we add in some tempo lifting, meaning I hate this when my strength guy makes me do it. 1, 2, 3 down, 3,
Oh, yeah, I hate
one
that.
explosion up. I'm like, this is torture. But that's going to get me off the floor when I'm on the floor. That
Mm,
power is going to keep me safe,
mm. It's
right? Because
beautiful.
we lose our type 2 muscle fibers with age.
Mhm.
And so building power, the plyometric type things, that's what that's all for, not to torture us. Yeah.
So then you also bring up a really good point, and something that my athletic brain had to think about in my 40s is that the purpose of working out became very different. And right? Like you mentioned dopamine earlier, like the pushing myself out of breath gave me the dopamine high.
Yeah.
And I started not running as much because I kept getting injured. And so then all of a sudden I had to call it forward movement exercise because I thought if I called it walking, I was criticizing myself. I was like, are you seriously walking?
We're
And then
moving.
the other part of my brain was like, no, I'm moving forward. It's a forward movement exercise. But then I realized that right, left movement was really calming to the nervous system. So all of a sudden, forward movement became my, like, Xanax. And so I really repatterned everything. But strength training, what's interesting about strength training for most, not maybe in your 40s, but if you're listening to this and you're in your 50s or 55, it's not like you're going to do all this heavy lifting and look in the mirror and have bulging muscles. You're going to have security as you continue. And maybe you will, but it does, for me, I've noticed it doesn't have the same visual effect. But where I notice it is when I'm standing in line and
Yeah.
all of a sudden my posture feels better.
Mhm.
Or you brought up the point, I reach down to pick something off the ground and I'm like, oh, wow, I can pop back up.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about what we could expect if
Yeah.
we follow a strength training protocol that might be as satisfying as looking in the mirror and seeing a muscle?
Well, so here's what happens. The only people who pop out muscles like you're thinking are, I mean, some people are genetically that way. You may work out forever, and it's just
Yeah,
part of your cytoplasm. People with very low body fat
right.
will expose their muscles, right? You may
Yeah.
have look at discus throwers or shot put throwers. Those are really muscular people, but they also have a lot of body fat. So you don't see the definition. But what you will feel if you're a midlife woman is your clothes will fit better. You will
Mm.
have a leaner profile because
Mhm.
you'll burn some of the visceral fat. And I wrongly say, but I just for ease I say we're exchanging fat for muscle. But
I
it
love
makes
that.
us leaner when we get on a
Yeah.
body composition. We're leaner, makes our clothes fit better. Because I say muscle is nature's Spanx.
That's
The
beautiful.
jiggly goes away a little bit, and so those are still satisfying, right?
Yes, agreed.
If I wanna be really cut and lean, that is hard bodybuilder work. You gotta build by eating more calories to build the
Mm,
muscle, and then you don't look like you're lean at all, and then you gotta suck all that off, and
mm.
unless you're trying to do that,
Yep.
what's the goal? I always return to, what are we working for?
Right.
I am
Right.
working for strength and power. Along the way, my clothes fit better. I'm leaner. I'm not quite as jiggly. I don't have to wear Spanx, right?
Yep.
So, not that I don't like Sarah Blakely, I sure do, but
I was gonna say, hopefully Sarah's not listening.
I'm a
I'll
big
kind
fan of you, Sarah, but I'm just trying to build some muscle.
Yeah. Yeah, so you bring up a really important point because when I was in my 20s, I think most of us when we were in our 20s and 30s used cardio to get the same effect you're saying. Hey,
Yeah.
when you go into menopause, use weightlifting to get the same effect you were trying to get in cardio in your 20s and 30s. Is that accurate?
And the fact of the matter is that you can have a big cardio engine and still not be strong in old age. Can't
Right.
open the pickle jar.
Right.
You may be a lifelong runner and still become frail because
Yep.
you can't get up out of a chair, because running doesn't build the same kind of muscle that lifting does in the lower
No.
body. So,
No. And what about grip strength? We have all these studies on how grip strength is a predictor of longevity.
yeah.
And what I've noticed in the weightlifting was that you have to hold the bar, you have to pull yourself up. Like there's a natural increase in your hand strength.
Mhm.
And that has to be beneficial. What do we know about grip strength and its purpose through menopause?
Yeah, you know what? And those studies are population studies. They're not done in
Mm,
athletes, not particularly in women
mm,
per se. But what it showed is people who have a better grip strength. I think the number in women is over 30 pounds of grip strength, men over 50, I believe, if I'm remembering my numbers well. It just infers better overall strength. It's not saying that you
mm,
can bench a certain amount of pounds. It just means in general you have upper body strength, which is always less than lower
mm,
body strength. But
mm,
remember, those are in populations. Those are population studies. What do we know about our population in the United States, at least?
mm,
70% of people do
mm.
no form of organized exercise at any time.
Yeah.
So I think it's a predictor of longevity and frailty, kind of a party trick, if you ask me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be satisfied. I have a grip strength of whatever, over 35. That's not the end all be all. It doesn't mean I can stop working.
Right. So I shouldn't buy one of those grip strength or
You
like
can, but I take it to parties and I show people, I'm like, let's see what you can do. But you know
right.
what it does? It's an awareness.
Of
Because if
course.
you've got a grip strength of 20 and you
Yep.
think you're okay, you're not, you
Yep.
know,
Yep. Okay, so we've got nutrition, we've got strength
lifting.
training.
Hmm.
I think we've said it, but I'm curious if you strongly feel we should stop the long distance running, the Spartan
Oh,
racing, the crossfitting. Like, is all of that off the table as we go through this?
no, I don't think I am not the orthopedic surgeon that is ever going to tell you to stop running because it's going to give you arthritis. Number one, there's
Mm, okay.
no data at all. I am never going to stop you from wanting to achieve a goal. I do Spartan
Mm,
races. I mean, one of my first Spartan race was several years ago. At that time I was 56, and someone actually said that. I was giving a speech, and as I walked on, the introducer's like, and she ran her first Spartan race at 56, and I started thinking, what does that have to do with it? I am
right.
I am capable. I believe that I'm going to try it and not die. So no, I am not saying, but what I'm saying is you need to train differently. And you need to harness the wisdom of your age, not to be a jackass out there and just think that because you were 20 and could do it, you can do it now, right?
Right.
Unless you've been training for that, keeping your tendons and ligaments springy, building muscle mass, feeding your body. Don't expect it to respond like it did the morning you woke up from partying the night before and you ran a race. That doesn't happen at our age,
No.
right? So
Yeah. And what about rucking? Rucking is making I'm sure you're getting asked this all the time, and I'll tell you my behind the
yeah,
scenes.
tell me.
I watched all the rucking, and I watched all the women that were rucking, and the first thing I thought is, are you fucking kidding me? I can't just go for a run. I can't just go for a hike. Now I gotta put a goddamn weighted vest on.
Yeah,
Like I was like, I'm rebelling against
you
this.
are.
And
So,
then I put one on. And
oh, you loved it.
I loved it.
What did you love about it?
Well, so at the time I was living in LA and our neighborhood had a really like a steep hill. And so if I put it on
Huh.
and I walked up the hill, I had the same cardiovascular impact that I did as if I was running a sprint on
Yeah,
a track.
yes.
So, but I didn't have the joint jamming and I got the high and I got all of it. So then I was addicted.
So I am so glad you said that, because the data are, come on, the data on whether it builds bone density are kind of plus minus, really small
Okay.
study. It's really big in the menopause circles. And I'm never
Okay.
going to encourage women not to do it if it makes them feel like they're achieving something. But if it's the end all and cure all weighted vest, maybe they increase your bone density 1 to 3% consistently. But you know why I like it?
Yeah, tell me.
So I have a 20-pound weighted vest. Exactly what you found. I can get the same work out at
Yeah.
less intensity. My heart rate goes, it's about 10 extra beats per minute with this.
Yeah.
I wear a full vest, 10 extra beats per minute. I'm feeling all like badassery because I'm wearing this vest. But you know what? The vest I have, I wear a rucksack vest. It has these
Okay.
little ties on the side. It does something to my nervous system.
Oh, ooh,
So
ooh.
tight. It's like a hug.
Yes.
It's like, you're upset. Okay, hug from behind,
Yes.
calming my nervous. I don't know if that's real, but that's
Yes.
what I feel. That, oh,
So
it's a calming of my nervous system now.
I'm so happy you said that because I thought the same thing. I came back and I was like, I am so happy and so calm and I don't know what's going on. And I thought it reminded me when my kids were in kindergarten. I remember there was a kid that would act up in class
And
all the
you just
time.
hug them.
Well, actually, what the mom did is
Uh-huh.
she brought in a bunch of weighted frogs, like those, like frogs, like stuffy frogs, but they were heavy, like a beanbag. And it was a parent participation class. And she said, if Joey acts up, put a frog on his shoulder. And I remember at the time thinking, really, like that's really going to help Joey in his tantrum. And then one day I was in class and Joey acted up, and I pulled a frog out and I put it on his back, and sure enough, he quieted. And then I started putting frogs on these weighted frogs on my kids and on I'm like, let's calm everybody down. And so when I put the Rucking vest on, I thought the same thing. It's like a weighted blanket. It's like
Mhm.
and at a time when our nervous system is so frazzled,
Yes.
it gives you that added sense of security.
Yes. And you know what? One day I was just wearing it around the house, cleaning the house. My
Oh,
my daughter's like, "Oh, you're wearing your vest?" I'm like, "It just does something to calm me."
that is amazing.
And it works.
Somebody needs to come up with like a funny meme where like a menopausal woman is like highly agitated and then she puts a Rucking vest on. Is like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's really, I don't think it gets enough credit for that. And I went back to go look at the evolutionary explanation for why rucking might be helpful to menopausal
Mm,
women.
mm,
And if you go and you look at like, people like Kristen Hawkes, who's the champion of the grandmother
mhm,
hypothesis and has studied the Hadza tribe, what the postmenopausal women do in the Hadza tribe is they go for a walk every day to go forage for food,
mhm,
but they take the kids, like the toddlers, like the 4 and 5 year
mm,
olds that couldn't go out and hunt and aren't really staying at home with the women who are nursing and
mhm.
pregnant, and they would put them on their back
Oh,
and they would walk with them. Yeah, I mean, when you study the grandmother hypothesis, you realize that we are fitness wise not meant to perish. We're actually meant to be even better than ever.
yeah.
But it is, and then she would get a bunch of tubers, she would put them on her head. So she was constantly weighting herself,
Ah,
which is an
mhm.
evolutionary design.
Interesting. It makes sense. It really makes sense. And you made me think. I have this gorgeous 40-pound grandson
Put them
who
on your back.
put him on my back. I lift him up to
Yeah.
the swing set. So it makes so much sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, he can be your strength training, and then you're getting oxytocin with him, like, the
Oh,
whole thing is
it's all good.
amazing.
It's all
Okay,
good.
anything else we need to know
Yes,
about? Yeah.
proteins. Yeah,
Okay,
I
please tell
want to
me.
fill it out. So when I prescribe exercise to midlife people, we talked about the acronym I use is FACE. Again, I
Hmm,
find people like
yeah, it's great.
F is flexibility and joint mobility. I know this will ring with you because we have to keep our tendons and ligaments long, and we have
Yep,
to keep our joints moving through a full range of motion. Otherwise, they get dried out, all rusted out, and we become the hunched over shuffling people. So
right.
that's F. A is aerobics. C is carrying a load. We talked about, but E, we've got to spend time on equilibrium And foot
Mm.
speed. I physically teach the women that come to here to be with me physically foot speed. I have
Mm.
this Olympic track and field speed coach here in this place where I work. We teach our women the same methods that we teach Olympic athletes to move our feet fast. And why do we need to do that? So when we're trying to trip, we don't fall down. We have enough foot speed to get
Yep.
over the bag that I trip on nearly every day by my desk, or not to fall
Yeah.
off the curve, so that we do not have the fatal fall.
Yep.
We're
Yep.
alive and well. We trip over something,
Yep.
we break our hip, and we have a 30% chance of
Yeah.
dying in 1 year. It's
Yeah.
foot speed, it's balance.
So what is that? But that, that just happened to my 85-year-old mom. She fell
Oh,
over on a box and fractured and osteoporotic, fractured her shoulder, had to have reverse shoulder surgery. And your parents can be really good models of what you don't want to age like. And I thought about that. Her balance can be really off. So what does foot speed look like? Like, is it like, do I need to take up like salsa dancing or
how
can
about
I
that?
just,
Salsa is a very good way to work on all of this, including your brain. Salsa,
okay.
pickle, but foot speed looks like imagine sitting on a box, sitting on a plyo box, and just on the ground going like this real fast
Oh,
on
just
your
like in
toes.
place. We call it, I used to do P90X
Mhm.
forever,
Uh-huh.
and he called it football sprints, where you're
Yeah,
like, yeah.
exactly. Agility. Or sometimes we use hexagons and we just go foot out,
Mm.
foot in, foot in.
Oh,
But
yeah.
you know what I'm going to introduce back? I just made a reel about this. I am going to introduce hopscotch back to this
Oh,
team.
hopscotch is so fun.
It's
Yes.
agility, it's jumping, it's lateral motion, and
Yes.
play. Play is so good for us.
Yeah.
So, yes, I want to, when I post that, I want to see you hopscotching
I
because it gets
will.
you all in.
Oh my
Yes.
god, and then you get to act like a kid,
Oh,
which
it's
is gonna now
fun.
bring
It's
in, like, dopamine and
playful.
serotonin.
Mhm.
So wait, but you could do even more, like, you could do everything on the play yard was great. So we had hopscotch, and then we had monkey bars.
Yeah,
Have
you
you ever
can
tried
train your
doing the monkey bars as an adult? It's a
yes,
little
because I
harder.
Spartan race and it's very
Ah,
hard.
okay.
It's very hard. But that's grip strength, that's upper body
Yeah,
strength. Yeah. I'm not good at
yeah,
climbing a rope, but I can do the rings.
yeah. It's and what about jump rope? Would jump rope be good
Love jump
foot
rope.
speed? Yeah.
It's good for foot speed and jumping because for those of you listeners that don't know, bone builds when we translate biomechanical impact, literally bashing your bones,
Oh,
to
yeah.
biochemical signals that,
Yeah.
oh, we need to build some bone osteoblasts. Jump roping, jumping up and down, plyo boxes. A mini tramp can work.
Mm,
NASA uses mini tramps. If your knees are killing you, get in a pool and jump in a pool, right?
mm,
I'll take anything to build your bones. But 4 times body weight jumping is what the papers say. That jumping,
interesting.
yeah. So
What about vibration plates?
yeah, like power plates have some research that shows that the small vibrations, I forget the hertz, 50 hertz,
Mm,
can that going up your bones can stimulate the osteoblast to build bone.
mhm,
Hmm.
mhm. And so I love your acronym of FACE. So if we follow the FACE
We
strategy
face
that
our
you
future. Yeah.
if we is that what we if we I was gonna say face ourselves, we
Yeah.
face ourselves.
Face our, yeah.
Is that a recipe not just for keeping your posture strong and your moods good, but is it a recipe for preventing osteoporosis?
Impact in the form of cardio can prevent osteoporosis. Lifting, definitely. We can
Yeah.
increase our bone density up to 13% a year by a consistent heavy lifting program because of again, the mechanical pull on bones. And then the way equilibrium and foot speed works is to prevent the fatal fall. So all the
Ah, yeah.
face is how I encompass all the types of mobility that we need in midlife. Because listen, when
Mhm.
I was 20, I got away with cardio and I didn't lift that much, but like you did, my balance was good, my
Mhm.
flexibility was good. But now we need to pay attention to those four things.
Yeah, I think that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to come back to collagen and creatine because I do know the connection that as estrogen goes down, those two go down as well.
Yeah.
Are you had mentioned my sense in what you said before is you're not a huge supplement fan. Is that did I misread you?
I have a short stack. I don't have 62 things.
Excellent.
I
Tell
have a
me.
short stack. We must have enough calcium, but I prefer calcium be taken in food. I prefer
Okay,
food
such
calcium,
as.
such as, believe it or not, salmon poached with the bones,
Mm,
like in a can, like
yeah,
fresh canned salmon or sardines, mushrooms, prunes and figs, all dairy. I mean, when you add those up, you can get 1,800 milligrams of calcium pretty well if you're eating a whole
amazing.
diet. Yeah. Supplement vitamin D3, obviously, magnesium 500 milligrams in the form of L-threonate or glycinate, not citrate, people, unless you want diarrhea, because that's what we give in the hospital to relieve constipation. Listen,
That's funny.
yeah, magnesium citrate, a little green bottle, does the trick. Creatine, I take 10 grams of creatine a day. Five is what
Mhm,
we started with. And then that paper recently came out with
mhm.
Alzheimer's cognitive function with 20. So I'm like, okay, I'll just up it to 10.
Yeah.
So 10 of creatine, really good research with muscle and brain. What else? Lots of protein. I take a few longevity type supplements. I don't take the
Mm,
whole stack that people can. I take a form of NMN so that my body
mhm.
will build NAD plus,
Okay.
measure my intracellular NAD plus with there's a lab called Ginfinity owned by scientist, a friend of mine. So that I also take Fisetin because
Mm,
I am really interested in senescent cells,
mm,
increasing the load of senescent cells, which for your listeners are those cells which are neither living nor dying. They're just
mhm.
too damaged to die. So they're spewing out all kinds of cytokines. So Fisetin comes from berries, strawberries. You can't get enough by eating strawberries. But a lab out of Vail, led by Johnny Huard, has done tons of research showing we can
Mm,
decrease senescent cell load with
mm, beautiful.
these simple supplements. Thinking what else I'm visualizing my
Are
little.
you yeah, are you a big fan of, oh, count your like, do I need to get 30 grams at every single meal, or are you just like, "Hey, just eat protein?"
Well, eat protein. I'm a big fan of a gram per pound. Here's
Okay.
why. Here's why. Uh, I can support with research up to 0.73 to 0.86 grams per pound. But I'm a clinician and I'm telling you, nobody's doing that math. Not
Right.
And number
Yes, thank you.
two, yeah, nobody's doing it. And number two, we don't absorb it all.
Yes.
So, so, but I think we need enough protein. I find most women are under proteined. They
Yeah.
eat a salad with nothing, dressing soup. I call it
Would you
dressing soup.
do it
Shake up the box and the lettuce is all.
I love that.
Yeah.
Would you what would you say to a vegetarian?
You know what? Here's what I say to you. Think about bulls. Bulls are bovine are completely made of muscle. It is
Mm,
possible to build muscle eating only vegetables. You just have to eat all the frigging time,
right.
right? You have
Oh,
to eat
yeah.
so many calories.
Mm,
3.5 cups of northern white beans to get the same protein in a little cup of yogurt. It can be done. Number one. That being said, you have to be mindful of your essential amino acids. You're probably not going to get the
yeah,
branched chains, the other six amino. There's nine essential amino acids, but
yeah.
you know this. You got to be very careful if you're only eating plants.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to be really intentional.
Yeah.
That's what that is all I mean, I was a vegetarian in my 20s and
Yeah. How did you
I
do it?
oh, horrible. I
Oh,
was injured all the time. I was a
yeah.
competitive athlete. I gained a bunch of weight because I was just doing carbs all the time.
Yeah.
And I didn't it took me a long time because I had read Diet for a New America
Uh,
by John Robbins and I was like, "Oh my god, we're hurting the animals." And so then I decided and then I just became sicker and sicker until about 25 I was like, I'm done. I need to go back to eating meat and things got a lot better. So but I have a lot of empathy for people who are like, well, I don't want to eat animals.
I know.
And and we do need plants. We need to eat plants. But at the end of the day, I think if you're looking at muscle in general, it needs a lot of
It
protein
needs
and it's hard
protein.
to get. Yeah. So, and do you think osteoporosis is preventable?
So here's my take on it. The short answer is yes, but it doesn't start in midlife. We lay
Hmm.
down maximum bone density between about 15 and 25. Some will extend it to 30. I do bone
Hmm.
densities on everybody, either by DEXA scans or REMS, which is ultrasound. And I have 22-year-olds and 30-year-olds with terrible bone density.
Hmm.
So number one, we can prevent it if we lay down enough bone initially and get a high peak bone mass. But
Hmm. I
many
like
times
that.
women don't because we are taught to be small and not eat, or
Hmm.
maybe we are athletes and we're not refeeding enough. So we're not
Hmm.
having periods for 9 months. I used to not have periods for months because I
Hmm.
was a ballet dancer and a
Oh,
runner.
wow. Oh, yeah. That's the
Yeah,
worst.
that's the worst. And
Yeah.
then, so we need to lay down bone to prevent. Then, what happens when we're making babies? We take 500 milligrams of calcium from our bones a day to make a baby. And
Oh,
now
wow.
we're programmed to rebuild that, but only if we're eating well enough, only if we
Hmm.
have time to rebuild and don't have a baby every year first. So that's the motherhood loss of calcium. And then at 45, we start losing our estrogen. There is a
Hmm.
normal aging decline in bone density that happens in men and women. But for women, without the stimulation of estrogen, which balances bone breakdown and bone building,
Mm.
we
Hmm.
precipitously will lose 15 to 20%. So that's why, Mindy, I
Hmm.
want people to start in the critical decade,
It's so smart.
because to prevent osteoporosis in women who have already lost 20%, it's
Hmm.
like rolling a boulder up a hill. It's much
Hmm.
harder than
Yep.
knowing it's going to happen, getting in front of it, putting all the things in place, and never losing it in the first place. Now,
Yeah.
if you have lost it, like if you're osteopenic, your T score is down to below -1, but not yet osteoporotic, you can rebuild
Mm.
that. We
Mm.
jump, we eat protein,
Mm. Yeah.
we lift weights heavy, we do all the things. You can
Hmm.
reverse osteopenia. And then
It's
osteoporosis,
beautiful.
yeah, you have to think about whether you want to use medications.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because my 85-year-old mom has had 2 hip replacements, a shoulder replacement, and
She's
she's
my
yeah, she's bionic and she's osteoporotic. And so my sister's in like 58.
Mhm.
We spend a lot of time like talking about how do we not end up like mom.
Yes.
And so it is interesting I love this idea of doing it early even though I'm out of that critical period.
Yeah.
I just am curious. I mean, for me, the rucking, one of the things that inspired me was what I had seen in the research on rucking and osteoporosis.
I don't want to give your people the thought that it's too late ever. It's never
Right.
too late. Your body
Yeah.
will always respond, always. You
Yeah.
know, even my mother's 86 and she's building muscle, you know.
That's amazing.
It
That's
is.
amazing.
She's
You need to
working.
do a reel with her.
Oh, she's amazing. Yeah.
What about hip replacement? Do you think, I mean, that's a pretty in vogue surgery right now. Is it preventable?
So, listen, I think I've already said that arthritis rapidly progresses in women over 50 because of the loss of
Mhm.
estrogen. It's preventable if we get in front of the estrogen problem. It's preventable
Mm.
if we don't develop the arthritis that comes by carrying around an extra 50 or 100 pounds,
Mm.
right?
Mm. Interesting.
Because cartilage is very sensitive to load. In fact, in our cartilage lab I was at the University of Pittsburgh, we used to kill cartilage by just dropping a weight on it, right? It's very sensitive.
Hmm.
In that sense, it's preventable. But in my career lifetime, the attitude on total joints has changed completely.
Yeah.
We used to wait until the last minute, get it at the last very minute, suffer for 20 years, lose all your muscle mass because you only get one set.
Yeah.
Now we know that by sentencing people to sitting around for 20 years until they're old enough, we're sentencing them to sedentary death syndrome. So I am much more apt
Mm,
to send a 50-year-old who have destroyed
mm,
their knees due to trauma or sports or something like football to get knee replacements,
mhm.
knowing that we might have to revise them in 20 years. But
Yeah.
I've given him or her 20 years of active life.
It's
Does that make
amazing.
sense? Yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. I've totally changed my opinion on joint replacement after just having so many people in my life go through it and watching them and going, "Wait, that really looks like it kinda worked." So, yeah, so you're right, the technology has changed. Where do you think HRT fits into the musculoskeletal profile of a menopausal woman? Like, would you sit with every 40-year-old and just say, yes, you have to get on HRT? Like, is
Mm.
it a must in order from a musculoskeletal lens?
So my statement is every woman is a sentient being with agency to decide. But
I
I
love that.
insist, yes, I insist, however, your decision be made based on facts, not fear. Not fear
Mhm.
of the WHI, but the facts of what we know from reanalysis of data. That's where I stand on that. That being said, every musculoskeletal tissue has estrogen receptors.
Right.
So if I want to maintain muscle and bone and tendon and ligament and cartilage, I want enough of it around. And I'm going to tell you for
Mhm.
sure, Mindy, in my patients and in my own life, the minute or the month that I started with hormone optimization, my arthralgia went away.
Mm.
My body
Mm.
didn't hurt anymore and I could get out
Mm.
of bed. And for the women out there that suffer from frozen shoulder, which is like just everybody,
Yeah.
inflammation of the shoulder capsule, estrogen
Mhm.
is a critical part of decreasing that inflammation that just takes over your shoulder joint. So is it mandatory? Hormones are never mandatory. Do I demand people make the decision based on facts and make an
Mm.
intelligent decision? Yeah. And if you decide that you just want no part of it, like 90% of women do, well, that's your decision. There are
Mhm.
consequences to every decision that you make with agency.
Yeah, that's really well said. One of the ways I always explain it is that it's definitely a personal choice, and
Mhm.
but it doesn't give you a free pass from lifestyle changes. And
That's
yeah,
right.
I think a lot of women were like, "Oh, okay, well I can just stop suffering and eating my Big Mac and skimping on sleep and not working out and I'll rub some cream on me and I'll be fine."
Yeah.
And I think hopefully as a collective world, we're starting to see that different.
Yeah,
So,
it's not one thing. We're
right,
an
exactly.
ecosystem, it takes an
Yeah,
ecosystem.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So dream with me as we finish this up. Dream with me for a moment. If people hear conversations like this, they read your book, they
Mm.
start to approach menopause from such a different angle than our mothers did and our grandmothers did. The piece that I haven't visually been able to master in my mind is where do you think we'll be at 80? What do you think 80 will look like aging if we follow your formula?
This 80 will be we get to do what we wanna do when we wanna do it without having to ask somebody to help us unless we
Mm,
want to.
right.
That's my 80, 97, whatever I live to goal. I may choose to ask for help, but I don't want to have to.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. How long do you think I just have to add this extra thing. How long do you think the musculoskeletal system can thrive? Like the human body, they say is you can live to 120.
Yeah.
Do you think you can, if you follow regimens like what you're teaching, do you
Mhm.
think you can physically thrive well into your hundreds?
I think so as long as you haven't traumatized your joints as a young person, right?
Mm, mm.
I was a football doctor. I had very young men with very old knees from the trauma
Wow.
of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if we do constant maintenance, we're reinvesting, we're feeding this vessel, I think our bodies are meant to last.
Yeah. I love that. And I think that, I mean, that is the message that needs to get out because we need to repattern in our brains how we see aging. And the only visual model we have right now is our mothers. And then we, of course, have our grandmothers. But there's this whole new wave of aging that's coming. And I think we need more to point out that more and more about just how the body was built to thrive even into our hundreds.
And I'm
So
going to tell you for sure, that has been the guiding light of my career to change the way we age in this country.
I just love that. Well, I'm excited for your book. How do people get it? Where do they go buy it?
It's available everywhere now for sale. There's a website, theunbreakable.book.com. So it has all the goodies on it. The Unbreakable Book. I hope everybody loves it.
Yeah, it is a great name. When I first saw it come through my socials, I was like, "Ooh, that's a good name for a book." So well done on that. And we'll leave links for everybody. And I have to ask you, what's your favorite chapter? Do you have a favorite chapter or section of the book?
I like the stories I tell throughout.
Hmm.
But you know what? I just got done recording it on audiobook. I
Oh,
really loved. There's one chapter that's all about this conversation. It pulls everything about aging into the menopause conversation.
amazing.
I love
Amazing.
that chapter.
Well, I can't wait to read it. And I'm just so happy that you're like bringing your information out. I think it's so easy as doctors for us to just get stuck in our little clinics. And the benefit of social media and books is that you get your knowledge, but they aren't necessarily in your clinic.
Yeah.
So,
Well, thank you so much.
yeah. Yeah, thank you. I've really enjoyed this and
Me too.
good luck with the book and everybody go get it. We should have like one bookcase that just has all the menopausal books.
That's
Yeah,
it.
cuz you can't have too many. So,
No,
yeah, so
thank
thank
you.
you. Cheering you on, Vonda. Thank you for this conversation.
My pleasure.